Hi, I'm Ms. Fung. Let's look at the quadratic formula. Here we have the standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. In the other video, we started solving for x by putting it into the turning point form. Let's bring that up again. So we went up to this phase over here by taking a out and then completing the square with x squared and bx, and we got up to that point. Now, how do we get x by itself? Now we notice these values here are by itself away from x, so we can bring them over the equal sign, so that becomes positive b squared over 4a and negative c. You don't have to memorize the steps, so don't stress, but you do need to follow along and see how we got this. So now what do we do next to get rid of the value so that x is by itself? We would get rid of the a. So dividing that side by a, we would have 4a squared down here, and we'll have c divided by a, or c over a. What's next? Well, we can join these together if we multiply that denominator by 4a, and if we multiply the denominator, we have to multiply the top as well, so we don't change it. So if we multiply that by 4a, we get 4a squared, and we can join this together, and the top will be b squared minus 4ac, like so. Now what do we do next? We can get rid of that square over there by square rooting on both sides, and don't forget the plus or minus. Now we can bring this chunk over the other side and we have x by itself. So let's do that. Minus b over 2a. Still looking very messy, but we notice that we can square root the bottom separately. So if square root of 4 is 2, square root of a squared is just a, so we can write that out. And now that the denominator is the same, we can combine this as a single fraction. So we have minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. This is the quadratic formula. Memorize it. Minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. One more time. Minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Make sure you memorize it. Let's use that quadratic formula to do some examples. Solve x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0 by using the quadratic formula. So we don't want to factorize this time. We can, but we're not. We're just going to use the formula straight away. What the formula gives us is the x value. So these are all numbers, remember that. And we worked it out from the equation up there. So if we use the ABC from up there, we'll get our x-intercepts or our x values straight away. So let's find out what a, b, and c are. So a is 1, b is minus 5, and c is 6. So write that out so we don't get confused. And what was the quadratic formula again? X is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. We're using this a lot, so memorize it. So we can plug all the numbers in, or we can work out this section here under the square root first to make it simpler. So b squared is 25, and then 4 times a, which is 1, is 4, times 6 is 24, so minus 24, which is just 1. So now we can just plug in 1 for that section. Minus b is minus 5, so minus 5, plus or minus square root of, we worked it out, 1, over 2a, a is 1, so it's just 2, minus 5 is plus 5, plus or minus 1 over 2. So 5 plus 1 is 6 divided by 2 is 3, or 5 minus 1 is 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we've solved it without factorizing. Let's just check for a second. We've done this before. If we factorize this, we would have gotten minus 3 and minus 2, so x minus 3 and x minus 2. And when you solve it, x minus 3 equals 0 and x minus 2 equals 0, you would have gotten the same answers, 3 and 2. So for this simple question, it would make sense to factorize rather than plugging in so many numbers. But this is really useful when you have numbers that aren't easy to factorize. Example 2. solve x squared minus 2kx minus 3 equals 0 by using the quadratic formula. So you can see why it's useful with this 2k over there. So let's find a, b, c. A is 1, b is minus 2k, and c is minus 3. Now plugging it in the formula, what was it again? Minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So let's plug in all the values. So we have minus b, which is minus 2k. So minus minus becomes a positive. So we have 2k. Then plus or minus b squared, which is over there, minus 4ac over 2 times a, which is just 2, because a is 1. I'll simplify that. Minus 2 squared is 4k squared, and we have minus 4 times minus 3 is positive 12. And then we can write it out as separate values. Oops. And then we notice that we can take the 4 out of the square root to get a 2 there. And since there's a 2 there and a 2 there, we can cancel the 3 2's. So we have k is plus or minus square root of k squared plus 3. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we will talk about the discriminant. Bye!